This is possibly one of my favorite Grand Seikos so far. Hello, welcome to Swiss Watch Cam, welcome to the show. Today we're gonna do another unboxing. We're gonna go to Japan and unbox a new Grand Seiko with possibly one of the finest movements they ever created for this price point. Let's get into it. As you see, the box features two colors, gray and blue, and the Grand Seiko on top of it. It's a square box, nothing special here. We've got a certificate of guarantee here, and then we come onto the watch. You just basically have to lift it by these flaps, and the box will come out. Here we go. In the box, you also see we have a few other things. So this one is actually like a booklet, so to speak, with a nice leather pouch, which has the explanatory notes, certifying that this watch was made indeed by Grand Seiko, how accurate it is, that they adjusted the movement, and so on. Here you also have the mechanical booklet, how to operate this watch. You can learn more about it, keep away from phones and razors and toasters. But yeah, basically you've got it in all different languages, so this is something standard you get when you purchase this watch. And now let's get to the main thing. Inside here we have the beautiful new watch, and I can't wait to show it to you guys. This looks like a pouch, so you can store your watch in it with no problem when you maybe travel or if you put it in your safe. Here we go, guys. The famous White Birch, or the Grand Seiko reference number SLGH005. One of the newest watches from the Heritage Collection. And personally, one of my favorites because it features the new movement caliber 9 SA5 inside. I've seen many Grand Seiko watches and many Grand Seiko dials so far, and this might be one of my favorites. The texture on it is something I've never seen before. Most of you know the Snowflake or the Skyflake or some other dials from the Seasons collection, but this one I feel like it's the most textured and the deepest one so far. The dial texture is actually inspired by the birch tree forests near the studio in Shizukuishi. I hope I pronounced this correctly. It's actually the place where most Grand Seiko watches are crafted and finished. It has this grained texture, and if I would know better, it looks like somebody, just carved it out. The texture of the dial has a similar look as the middle line which goes across the hour hand. The tip of the hour hand is actually cut, so it looks very boxy. And the minute hand has your typical Grand Seiko design, which you also saw in the other pieces. In contrast, the blue seconds hand is very elegant. So, in my personal opinion, I feel that there's a fight of design between the hour, seconds, and minute hand, which I don't know if I could do it, let's say, better, but I would maybe play around with the options a bit more. As we're used to from Grand Seiko, the hour, the minute hand, as well as all the indexes and the date window feature a zaratsu finish, a mirror-like finish with no distortion, which is made to perfection. There is some synergy between the lines across the indexes and the line across the hour hand. The line across the hour hand, like I said, has a similar texture to the dial, more grained, and across the line of the indexes we have a brushed finish. There's the Grand Seiko logo applied on top of it at 12 o'clock, the Grand Seiko name below it, and at 6 o'clock we have an inscription saying high beat 36,080 hours. Personally, I wouldn't write it on the dial. Maybe I would just put high beat under there. I don't think 80 hours is necessary, but maybe for somebody who doesn't know Grand Seiko, or if you see this watch at a glance, this would immediately indicate you that this watch has a special movement. The minute track is also very visible, has a white color and a black print on it. It hovers above the dial. The cool thing about Grand Seiko indexes is that when you turn the watch to a different light, they immediately change and you can see the zaratsu polishing. Or if you put something on top of it, something darker, you see that they reflect that as well. So we said already that this movement has 36,000 vibrations per hour. That's where the seconds hand isn't gliding like you're used to from seeing on the spring drive movements, but actually it makes 10 clicks per second or 10 ticks. You might remember this kind of 5 Hz movement or 36,000 vibrations per hour from the Zenith El Primero. This movement also features an instant date change mechanism. It's very quick, you'll see it now. So you basically unscrew the crown, because it's a screw-down crown after all. You put it out to the first position, and then you switch it. For people who love mechanical watches and mechanical movements, this one is a treat for you. Here we have the newly developed in-house caliber 9SA5, which is just beautiful. It's not just beautiful to look at, it also has great mechanical features. When I saw this movement for the first time on photos on blogs, first of all I thought that this might be something in a very high-end watch and it might be very expensive. While we're on the topic of pricing, this watch cost 9,900 Swiss francs or 9,100 US dollars without tax. I think for a watch like this, with this movement and the dial, it's unbeatable if you think about the high production numbers Grand Seiko makes and versus other brands. I really like the architecture of the movement. They really tried to open everything up. Across the bridges we have the Geneva stripes or Japanese stripes in this case, which just look beautiful. The contrast between the inscriptions like the Grand Seiko and the jewels really stands out as well. Below we have the balance wheel, which is on a nice separate bridge, which is slightly curved. This movement was actually made and developed in the same studio as the first 9S caliber was created. It's also the thinnest high beat movement Grand Seiko ever made. In the past I used to own a SLGH005 Grand Seiko, which also had a 5 Hz movement, but nothing compared to this one. This movement is mechanically very impressive. It features a free-sprung balance spring, a dual impulse escapement with a direct and indirect impulse, which has a high energy efficiency. If you look at the architecture and shape of the parts used for this new dual impulse escapement, they're different. You have a new escape wheel and a new pallet fork, and both of them are open worked. Grand Seiko says that the accuracy variation per day is +5 to -3 seconds per day when the watch is static, or +8 to -1 seconds per day in normal usage. This watch also has a nice automatic winding rotor. I'm very happy that they skeletonized the middle part, and the texture on the side is also cool. It's slightly grained and it adds a nice contrast to the movement. The sapphire crystal which you have on the caseback as well as the front side of the watch is anti-reflective coated also from the inside. Some Grand Seiko watches used to have the Grand Seiko logo on the sapphire crystal, which prevented us to see the beautiful movements. This one has it as well, but it's not that obvious, so you have to look at it at a certain angle and you'll see the logo immediately. The case and the 3-link bracelet are all made out of stainless steel and feature a few different finishes. If you look at the case from the front side, the top of the bezel is actually vertically brushed. The side is slightly curved and features polishing, and the side of the case is brushed. The lugs are slightly polished and brushed on the top. Grand Seiko, brushing, zaratsu finishing, it's just what they're known for. From the side you can see that the case is slightly curved downwards, but the case back is flat, so it sits nicely on the wrist. From the top, the bracelet is vertically brushed. The side links are polished, plus feature polished edges. Let me now put the watch on the wrist so you guys see how it fits me. This watch features a folding clasp and 2 push buttons to open it. You can see the Grand Seiko logo on top of it. The bracelet does have a nice shimmer when you turn it with the light, and from the side now you can see the height of the watch. It's 11.7 mm, so you can easily slide under the cuff. Lug width is 22 mm, so if you got a strap, you can easily pair it with this watch, but I do think it looks better on a bracelet this time. The diameter of the case is 40 mm, so you can see how it looks on my 18.1 cm wrist, and lug to lug it measures 47 mm. Because the bracelet and the case are so ergonomically made, you see that this watch can also fit smaller wrists, even 15 or maybe even 14 centimeters. Like with all the watches we review on the channel, I always advise you to go check out these watches in person so you can see how they fit you. I wouldn't advise it maybe to purchase it online before you see it, also because of the higher price point of this watch. This Grand Seiko was lent to me by Ursachen in Bern, Switzerland. They're the official retailer and also have other independent watch brands, some of them which you also had on the channel before from them. So thank you guys, and go check out their Instagram account. Guys, I'm curious to see what do you think about the new Grand Seiko White Birch, the case, the dial, and also the new amazing movement. Leave a comment down below. On the side there's a photo of a watch review next time on the channel. It's a brand we haven't featured before, so this one might be tough to guess, but maybe you'll get it right this time. Like and share this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you next week.